5 Important Factors of Life. Explained by Ante Narayana-Smriti. By Krishna's Mercy. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Bhya Swadharma Parinishtaya Janmalabha Parah Punsam Ante Narayana-Smritiya. Quote, the highest perfection of human life, achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Shrimad Bhagavatam 2.16. A single shloka from Bhagavad Purana explains so much. Based on recorded history, the documents passed forward to the present day, the thoughts and speculations of the most respected within society, it appears that there has been a steadiness of wonder. In whichever period of time they appeared, man pondered the issue of life itself, with the associated meaning, purpose, and direction. Bhagavad Puran has an informal date of publication that may be 5,000 years in the past, but the information contained within is timeless. It describes a higher being who can be known through properties such as Anadi and Ananta. There is no beginning, and there is no end to this being. This means that every individual, living in the past, the present, and the future, has the same opportunity for accessing that higher being. This truth is confirmed in the Upanishads, which offer the portrait of 2 birds sitting close by, together, on a tree. These birds have been together for as long back as anyone can recall. The one bird wants to enjoy, so it goes in this direction and that, while the other bird simply witnesses. The first bird is so engrossed in the reactions to the decisions for enjoyment that it completely forgets the presence of the other bird. The first bird might even speculate that the second bird does not exist. Quote, the Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad, as well as the Shvetashvatar Upanishad, compare the soul and the supersoul to 2 friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these 2 birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird, and Arjuna is the eating bird. Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad-gita, 222 purport. Bhagavad Puran, which is also known as Shrimad Bhagavatam, puts forward the concept of Ante Narayana-Smritiya. This one collection of Sanskrit words explains so much. It delivers so much clarity to the first bird, who otherwise speculates in this direction and that as to the highest objective of living, as to the meaning of birth itself. 1. The reason for our existence. Ante Narayana-Smriti translates to remembering Narayan at the end. This is a call to action. It is something that every person can do. There is no stipulation as to caste, gender, or age. Young and old alike can remember Narayan. Depending on the traditions of a particular area, a female may be prohibited from reading Shastra, from stepping foot in a certain side of the house of worship, and from taking the role of a formal spiritual guide. But that same female can remember. We may not be able to recall our many past lives. We may not remember what we did every single day during childhood. We are still alive at this moment. This means that we can act. If we have the choice to act, we can proceed with justification. Ante Narayana-Smritiha provides a reason for our continued existence. 2. The highest objective. This remembering of Narayan is the highest objective. The highest objective is not reaching the pinnacle of achievement in a field with measurable differences. It is not finding the largest building to serve as a place of residence. It is not enjoying with as many others as we possibly can, or desperately clinging to intoxication, as a way to escape the harsh reality of the fleeting nature of the temporary birth. Ye hi sansparshaja bhoga, duhukh yonaya evate, adya antavantah kaunteya, na teshu ramate buddha. Quote, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, 5:22. 3. The object of worship. Ante Narayana-Smriti is the highest objective because of the beneficiary of the contemplation. As there is someone on the other side of this remembering, it means that there is a connection. Like connecting a phone line within the home. Like back in the early days of internet service, using the modem known as dial-up, since that is how the temporary connection was established. This connection is known as yoga. In terms of the situation described previously, it is the first bird finally turning in the direction of the second bird. That second bird was the highest interest the entire time, but due to illusion the first bird was unaware. This second bird is an object of worship. He is known as Narayan, among many other names. As Narayan, he is the source of men. The Naras can intentionally remember. They can create a way of life such that the remembrance will be steady. In following that remembrance as a formal discipline, the Nara establishes themselves in Dharma. As that formal discipline is applicable during any period of time, the Nara follows what is known as Sanatana Dharma. Soar. The moment when everything will be tested. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Prabhupada explains that everything will be tested at the time of death. We may have so much else to our history in this isolated circumstance of a birth. Our rap sheet, so to speak, is quite long. We have made so many mistakes. We cheated. We exploited others. We have so many regrettable actions that remain within the memory. Never mind, as everything will be tested at the end. At the final moments, Ante, our consciousness will carry forward. The nature of that consciousness will determine the nature of living in the future. This is confirmed by the same Narayan in his form of Sri Krishna when offering vital instruction to the disciple named Arjuna. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, tyajatya ante kalevaram, tam tam evaiti kaunteya, sada tad bhav bhavitaha. Quote, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, 8:6. 5. How to pass that test. As everything will be tested at the end, Ante Narayana-Smriti gives the cheat code, so to speak, on how to pass that test. Remember Narayana. The fact that this remembrance is the way to pass the test means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be the most forgiving individual ever known. He cannot be old, angry, spiteful, or hankering after punishing the so-called sinners. Those sinners are already suffering through the event known as birth. That birth is the primary source of misery. Remembering Narayan at the end stops the cycle of birth and death. It elevates the individual to the spiritual realm. They unite with the object of worship in a way that they are subsequently free from the vulnerability to falling into the land of illusion again. Those who remember the Supreme Lord at the end attain a nature similar to His, and so they will no longer suffer. In closing, towards Vaikuntha to send, when remembered at the end, known as the source of men, today, tomorrow, and back then. Narayan the ultimate goal, the constant well-wisher soul. Next to us the entire time sitting, our object of worship befitting.